Hi, this is RN Bhaskar from BKBB, which is an acronym for Bhaskar Ki Business Baatein. Bhaskar Ki Business Baatein has been there for the past 9 months, focusing on policy analysis, on stories and conversations. And this is a new avatar 5 weeks ago. And we look at news, not exactly news, but news behind the news. We take up 3 headlines, sometimes 4, and we examine the circumstances around those headlines. And joining me today to discuss this news are my two co-anchors, Katya, welcome Katya, and Isha, welcome Isha. Welcome. Okay. The 3 headlines that we plan discussing today are on your screen right now. And they are tariffs, how ASEAN closes ranks, how markets stumble, and how Chinese military technology advances. We have another story on private equity and how deals fire up Deal Street. And then we have ASHA workers in Kerala protest. And while we go on with these stories, could I make a reminder to you? Please click the subscribe button if you're not subscribed already. Click the like button if you like what we're talking about. It's good when we see many likes. And lastly, please tell your friends about this channel because we do things that very few channels do. We give you a perspective that many few channels offer. And at the end of the session, please send in your questions. We take up at least 3 questions and we try to reply to them, respond to them. And let's take the first story from here. The first story is about Trump's tariffs, which kick into from tomorrow. And if you remember yesterday's news, we talked about how Denmark and Canada had decided to boycott US goods. If that fire was not enough, surprises did not stop. 2 of the strongest loyalists of the US, Japan and South Korea, decided to close ranks with other ASEAN countries, and China, South Korea, and Japan decided to meet to create a common front to deal with Trump's tariffs. Trump's tariffs are unifying the world in a way no one had thought possible just about a month ago. And because of this uncertainty in the market, look at the way Dow Jones crashed, Nasdaq crashed, and the markets are jittery like never before. And while this was going on, with Trump railing and ranting about throwing bombs at Yemen and Iran, and also threatening China with further sanctions and maybe war over Taiwan, China displayed its military prowess with new technologies that people had not imagined. It launched another version of its most advanced aircraft carrier, for which pictures are not available, but satellite images showed that maneuvers were going on. And introduced a new drone, AI capable and capable of many more things that conventional drones cannot handle. In the market for drones, remember, China is the global leader. China has an advantage and is trying to build its advantage even in military hardware, just in case the US does not go the same route. And that takes me to the next story. The next story is the markets and how deal making is rampant. Katya, could we have your story?
Right. So stock markets are probably going to start the financial year on a very bad note, but that cannot be said about private equity deals. So we have seen a very, very large deal, PE deal recently. Haldiram's and Temasek deal is 8,500 crore deal, but they are not stopping. They went ahead and done another deal right now. They've confirmed it. They've sold some stake to IHC, Alpha Whale Global, two more large private equity players. Financials are not yet known. So this is all, again, Haldirams is not the only company that is selling large chunks for really large money. KKR also recently bought controlling stake in a cancer specialized healthcare chain. I had HCG for $400 million, and then there, if you go indications by a large another large Kolkata-based real estate deal is going to happen. So private equity deals are really, really fired up in this market. Now, is it because of the expected IPOs like it was happening last year, or are these pre-IPO deals? We do not know, but all the same, they are betting on certain sectors. If you see, very interestingly, healthcare and large consumers are one of the key sectors that they're interested in. It's not, the startups have been firing up deals for many years now, large deals, but now even our own companies, non-startup companies, old economy businesses are also picking up. Now back to you, sir. What do you think? PE deals will continue to fire up the market even with stock markets down? Is there any nexus, or,
In
or,
fact,
or they see a growth story here, old economy businesses?
I don't know. Katya, when I saw your story, I was very impressed and very surprised. The markets, Dow Jones is crashing, Nasdaq is crashing. Indian markets are also, after the first one day of euphoria, and then the markets
Right.
are going to go up. They've started
Right.
falling. But two very interesting things. One is the deal making that you're making, that you talked about. And the second is foreign investors have brought in $6 billion
Right.
through a special vehicle that the government has created, which allows them to take the money back whenever they want. Clearly, this could be a Hawala route. But why should deal makers come in at such a turbulent time? Very interesting. It means they have more faith in consumer spending, even if consumer spending is down. And they have more faith in healthcare, even though government's policies on healthcare have been languishing with very little allocation of funds. You are bang on. It's unclear what the long-term strategy is, but the money is coming in. And the promoters are happy. You bet. Okay, let's take a third story, and that is in a way related to healthcare, and that's about the ASHA workers. Could I have that story, Isha?
Hello, good morning. Thank you for joining in today. The story I'm bringing you is from The Hindu, and it's titled Kerala Ashas Cut Their Hair in Protest Against Government Apathy as Pay Hike Stir Enters 50th Day. So, as that protest for the pay hike enters the 50th day, ASHA workers in Kerala chopped off their hair to agitate against government indifference to their requests. The ASHA workers, who've been protesting in front of the Kerala Secretariat demanding better remuneration, have been met with apathy by government officials. In order to express their disappointment against this, hundreds of women protested, shouting slogans and holding up their chopped off dresses after a march on Mahatma Gandhi Road. Many women were seen in tears. This protest has also been able to bring media and civil society attention to the issues that they are protesting against. ASHA workers across the country have chopped off their hair in solidarity. In fact, in Angamali, even two BJP municipal councillors tonsured their hair in support of the ASHAs. However, even the second round of talks with the government officials have failed, and they have not been able to come up to a compromise. Therefore, the ASHA workers are set to continue their strike, and women have started taking turns to go on a hunger strike. The ASHA workers, who form the backbone of the public healthcare system in the country, have been protesting to demand an increase in honorarium, retirement benefits, and improved working conditions since the 10th of February. However, they've been met with apathy and poor treatment from government officials. ASHA workers have been an issue that have kind of been in the news on and off for many years. The government has been treating them poorly, paying them very badly, not paying their salaries, stuff like that. So they, without the ASHA workers, our healthcare system will collapse. So hopefully they come to a compromise soon. Very interesting story. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Isha. It's a very valid story. Although it's only in Kerala that the women are protesting. Ashas form a very crucial part in the healthcare system because this is a government strategy of how to provide rural healthcare to the poor without spending more money. And when even the little amount that you get for ASHA workers is not paid, it's a tragedy. First, you can't create your own system, so you go by ASHA workers, where you can have workers at lower salaries, and even these lower salaries not paid. In a way, it's symptomatic of this country, where the priority given to education and to health services has been pathetic. As doctors will tell you, primary health centers are centers where if you have a basic ailment, you will not go to the center. If it's a major ailment, the PHC is of no use. And you don't go to the center because the center is poorly equipped. And when you have a major ailment, you cannot go there. The government has not been paying attention to healthcare, both at the central level and at the state levels. And in a way, these women, their protests make a lot of sense. Society must pay attention to the cries because healthcare is crucial. In a way, Katya's story about private investment going to healthcare is also relevant, but there's a danger. It means private investment is going into private healthcare and not public healthcare. Public healthcare is guaranteed by the Constitution. It's a constitutional requirement of governments. If you take my taxes, take care of me. And that is a contract that the government is breaking. And that brings me to the end of today's 3 stories. Do tune in tomorrow. Once again, we'll bring you 3 more headlines. And yes, do remember to click the subscribe button. Do click the like button and tell your friends about it. And while I was talking to you, I can see some questions pouring in. And the first question is, where do you think Trump's tariffs will take us? I don't know. But there's a very interesting development. Yesterday, in a podcast by a very famous diplomat, Alistair Crook, Crook informed us that Jaishankar, India's foreign minister, had candidly told senior diplomats that India was veering away from the US towards China and keen on resolving every dispute with China. Alistair Crook is a very senior person. Jaishankar is a very senior person. And their pronouncements point out even India, which was happy to join the, the consortium against China, is now realizing that China has investments, China has security, China does not interfere with government policies at the local level, at the domestic level. And maybe China would be a better friend. In a way, it makes sense. It is India's next door neighbor. You can change your friends, but you can't change your neighbors. And the second thing is, USA has no money to invest. China has. And when USA invests, nothing happens. Look at the Boeing story. And now it's trying to tell India to purchase the military hardware, which has failed in Ukraine, which has failed in Israel. Anyway, that's one. There's another story. How do we ensure that ASHA workers are looked after? Well, this is where the opposition, members of parliament, need to be more responsive. They should demand better allocation of funds. In fact, it needs to be mentioned here that the standing committee of the parliament told the government to release funds immediately to West Bengal and to Tamil Nadu and to Kerala and to other states who had not been given the money just because they had not followed the 3-language formula. The central government's willingness to block funds is similar to Trump's plans to impose tariffs or to sanction countries. This is a country, a federal country where states and the center need to work together. You can stop funds. And there's a third question. Deal making is good, but do the deal makers recognize that they will need profits afterwards? Yes, it's a valid question. And the markets are turbulent. Will you, does investing such large money in companies make sense? We are alarmed, we're surprised, but the deal makers, who are far more hard nosed, are not surprised. They know that as long as people live, they will consume. They know that as long as people live, they will need health care. Their confidence lies from the fact that if people live, businesses will be there. Of course, if people don't live, even the fund managers die. Nobody survives. And that is why we're scared of a nuclear war. But as long as we are alive, businesses will grow in one form or the other. Well, that's the end of today's podcast. And thank you for being with us. Do remember, tell your friends about us. See you tomorrow. Have a great day.